Thank you for tuning in to the Afternoon Pint. This episode is sponsored by Camilla Najat of Exit Realty, Strategy Up Business Consultants, and ISS Atlantic Security Guard Services. Enjoy the show. Cheers!
Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome to the Afternoon Pint. I'm Mike Tobin.
I am Macon.
And who do we have with us today?
You have Tukan Das here.
Tukan. Wow.
Yeah.
So, say how we got introduced. My brother-in-law, Rick, shout out to Rick down in Colorado.
Yep.
Has his own podcast going, is quite successful in his own right. Thought you'd be a really interesting guy to talk to, but he kind of skimped on the details. So tell me a little bit about who you are.
I have no idea why he thought I'd be interesting, but sure, I'm here. My background, as per LinkedIn, I'm a co-founder of a new stealth AI startup.
Yeah.
But my background is in computer science.
Mm-hmm.
I'm originally from India. Mm-hmm. Moved here right after high school to do computer science.
At Dalhousie?
Yes.
Yeah.
I did at Dal. That was 21 years ago.
Mm-hmm. 2000.
2002.
Yeah.
Well, damn, 23 years ago. I can't count. I think being a computer science student, I should count better. But anyways, I studied, did my undergrad, worked here, started my master's while working at a different company. And then while I was doing my master's, I started a company called Leadsift.
Leadsift.
Yes.
Yeah. That was after you were making search engines, building search engines basically as a computer engineer, right?
I was working at
Game Genie.
GenieKnows.com. They were one of the top 4.
Game Genies from
Game Genie's from Nintendo. I just said the wrong thing.
Yeah. That's fine. So we were building a search engine and we were competing with the Google and Yahoos of the world.
Right.
I was working there as a research engineer. And then while doing my master's, I was working there. I dropped out and started this company called Leadsift with 3 of my other co-founders. Mm-hmm. And I did that for 9 years.
Leadsift, for a second, was a pretty cool program, right? Like I have an idea what it did.
Okay.
I mean, basically when social media was younger, we'll say, right?
Sure.
I mean, not today, but it would, and tell me if I'm wrong on this, but what it would do is it would help businesses with all the social noise and stuff that was going out there to find leads through various social media platforms.
That's what it started as.
Yeah.
So, funny story. So the name was Leadsift, and our core thesis was we would mine social media data, Twitter, blogs. Back then, Facebook had an API. Anything that is public, we would mine that to identify people who are in market for a product. So you talked about insurance.
Yep.
We had RBC as a client, or Trans-America Insurance. These are all clients of ours. And what we would help them do is identify who was in market. So, for example, I would tell RBC that, did you know that there are 9,000 people in Canada today that we identified that were showing interest towards a new health insurance product or a house insurance product by analyzing text. So we were doing a lot of natural language processing and AI before the AI thing was cool. So we did that. That's how we started.
Yeah.
So are you telling me that you're the reason that when I say out loud, hey, have you ever tried a bidet before? And then all of a sudden I go into Facebook and I'm getting bidet ads.
I wish I was. No, but yeah, that's exactly it. It's looking at. We were not looking at voice data or anything, but we were only looking at publicly available data. So as an example, let's say someone put out a tweet or a post saying, dropping off my kid to daycare and then heading into to drop my car off. And when you drop your car off, you had a check-in location that maps to a BMW dealership. Just by looking at that single tweet, I know you're a parent, young kid, you drive a car, you're pretty affluent because the location you checked in was a BMW dealership.
Right.
Just by looking at it.
Yeah.
So we can build a lot of profile information. Again, all from public, which you posted.
But that also speaks to the security factor of how people need to be more conscious about what they put on social media, right?
That is we are way past that point now.
Yeah, no, I know you're right. It's just something for people to be cognizant about, right?
We had, from your public Twitter profile, we were extracting 220 attributes about every single person. Just from public, meaning, and again, it was not for nefarious reasons, but it was more for marketing. For example, we could tell you which brand you are most likely to wear. Are you a runner? which airlines would you prefer, which coffee drink, like all of those
And
things.
around what year was this?
This was around between 2012 to 2015.
So we weren't really talking about that kind of, not even really, I don't think, realizing what was happening in the social media world back then.
Not quite as mining as that, but I mean, there was still like geofencing and stuff like that was going on then. Which,
of course.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was not that old.
There was Foursquare check-ins. There was a whole bunch of them. So we would look at all of these that's publicly available that anyone can see you're putting out. We would do that. But then, this is one of the interesting stories. In 2015, we were working with all these big brands, the ones that I mentioned, whether it's a big financial service or a MasterCard, or which is also a financial service, or a car company. We used to work with Ford, GE, all of them, LG, big beverage companies.
Yeah.
But in 2015, at a very eventful board meeting, we had closed 2 of our biggest deals. It was one of the best quarters. I presented to the board saying, hey, we just closed a lot of revenue this quarter. Again, lot is relative. It's all subjective.
True, yeah.
For us, a small fledgling company, that was a lot. But here's this one question I can't answer. And the board goes, what is it? And I said, my engineering team, which is a team of 4 people, well, 5 engineers, they don't seem to be motivated with what they're doing. How can I motivate them? Revenue is not motivating them. And I remember our board chairman, Damian Steele, he looked at me, he's like, yeah, because you're just building not a software company, you're building a consulting shop, body shop. Because basically what you have doing is, you have these big clients coming to you for one-off projects, saying, hey, can you do this analysis? Can you do this analysis?
Right.
And you'd go do this for them. A software product that you build for the same repeatable use case.
Yeah.
As an example, 2014 Super Bowl, Jaguar launched their new car, XLRI. I forget what that is. And it was the actor, and they ran a big campaign in the Super Bowl with Tom Hiddleston. Or Huddleston, whatever his name is.
Loki,
right. Loki. So they came to us and said, hey, I want to understand what the potential Jaguar audience looks like, what they like. So we gave that data. Again, it was a custom bespoke project. And we were doing this multiple times over. We were doing it for RBC, something, Transamerica, Chrysler, whoever we did this. And that was a light bulb moment. I was not expecting that. I was expecting them some pithy answers like motivate them, play ping pong, take them for lunch, and all that bullshit. So I realized we did not have product market fit. That's the term that they use in startup. And we were just building custom solutions. Engineers don't sign up for software companies to build custom solutions. They'd go work at a big consulting company, whether it's an IBM or an Accenture or something. So then in 2016, we had to make a tough choice. We had 1 year's worth of money left in the bank. And we had 3 options.
Yeah.
Option 1 was take that money, give it back to the investors.
Yeah.
We had raised venture capital money. So they would get pennies on the dollars. Option 2, we had 2 offers to get us acquired. It would look good on paper and press, but there was no money. They would get, it's basically a glorified job offer. That's what we'd get. And you'd get some stock options in the company.
Yeah.
That was option 2. One was in Toronto, one was in Washington, D.C. And option 3 was basically figure it out. Whatever money you have, see if you can come up with something. Because whatever you were doing was not going to scale. It would not work. So our investors were basically like, look, we don't need your $3 on the dollar, 3 cents on the dollar return.
Right.
Go figure it out. We'll see. And me and my other co-founder, we made the call. It's like, we're not going to sell to them. So we started from scratch again. But this time, the interesting story here is there's always so many stories, man. The interesting story that we had was we had a salesperson in-house. And you guys are sales guys, so you'd understand.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing cold calling and cold emailing for us.
Right.
He would reach out to the insurance companies, the car companies, the marketing person and that. And he would reach out to them. And so he came to us. He's like, hey, I know we are selling our data and intelligence to these big brands, the Chryslers and the RBCs and the MasterCards of the world. Can we identify the same thing for software companies, meaning companies like us? Can you tell me which car company would be a fit for me. Rather than telling the car company which person is going to buy a new Chrysler, can you tell me a software company who's going to be, which car company might need my solution? And
Interesting.
I thought, and he was an intern. His name is Corey.
Yeah.
Shout out to Corey. And that was the moment. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. So we went all in on that, and that's the company we scaled. We started from zero. We had about $400,000 in revenue. So we got that to zero. We let them go. We fired our customers.
Yeah.
So you help software companies find their niche, almost in a sense. Is that
We
right?
help software companies find leads for their sales and marketing.
For their
team.
sales. Brilliant.
So that's what we did, and so the category is called So it was B2B. It was intent data, intent to buy.
Wow.
We figured out a way by looking at text and different signals in the graph to predict who would be in market for a new software. Yeah,
Amazing.
that's what we did.
Yeah. That's so cool.
what got us acquired. So I know it was a very long-winded what do you do?
And Foundry, the company that acquired was Foundry, the company that Rick, our mutual friend here, knows.
Yes.
So, like, how did Foundry? How did that happen?
That's the funniest story, man.
Yeah.
It's the funniest story. I remember clearly what happened. This was November 2020. Peak COVID.
Yeah, I was going to say thick of the day.
In August of 2020, we had an offer to get acquired by one of our biggest competitors.
Oh.
So we signed. This is exclusive content I'm sharing here. I don't know what the legal ramifications of this were, but anyways, I'm not mentioning names. We had signed an agreement to get acquired.
Mm-hmm.
And then after you sign an agreement to get acquired, you get basically 60 days where that company who wants to acquire you for whatever price you negotiate on will do due diligence on you.
Right, yeah.
So we went into due diligence with this. It was a 60-day process. So we signed the deal in September. It was supposed to close on November 7th. And right out of the gate, once we went to the due diligence, we got a very sneaky suspicion that these guys, whether they wanted to buy us or not, but they were really interested in figuring out what the hell we were doing and how we were doing it. So we got very scared.
So they kind of made like an offer just to get an inside look?
Potentially.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Do you feel they were picking you apart in a sense too to get that information?
They were.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, just a little bit technical details here. When a company buys another technical company, one of the things they do is they do a lot of due diligence on your finances, everything.
Yeah.
But there's a big part, which is due diligence on your tech. What does your tech look like? And typically what they do is, if it's a direct competitor, it doesn't matter even if it's not, they bring a third-party company to analyze your code line by line. But it's a third-party company.
Right.
Who's neutral. And they don't share what they found. They just say, hey, this is legit. Whatever they're claiming is legit.
Right.
Or they're bullshitting.
Okay.
Because a lot of companies lie about their tech.
Yeah.
What these guys did was they were like, no, we're not going to bring in third party. Our CTO is going to look at your code. And we were like, no, that's not cool.
Seems odd. Yeah.
Because you're a direct competitor.
Right.
Yeah.
So we both shook hands. We said no. And so it was a big, personally, as a first-time founder, it was a big blow. And this was not the first time this happened. So anyways, it was a big blow. But going back, on October 7th, the day the deal was supposed to close, we knew it was not going to happen. I get an email from this person, his name is Matt Pearson from IDG. That's the parent company.
Of Foundry, yes. Yep.
Yes. IDG owns Foundry and IDC.
Yep.
Saying, hey, I'm this. We're looking at intent data. Would love to explore partnership. That's how they do it. They always ask, it's a partnership.
Yeah.
As a founder, you get a lot of these emails where corp dev people reach out. It's like, we want to explore what you're doing. I almost ignored it. I'm like, I don't know, man. But then I happened to Google what IDG is. And I found a Wikipedia page. Anytime there's a Wikipedia page for a company, it's a good sign.
Yeah. I was gonna say.
And I realized there were like over 6,000 employees. I'm like, okay, this is a legit company.
Yeah, that's legit, yeah.
And that's how the discussion started.
Wow.
So it was a cold email. So I got on a meeting and we started the discussion. But here's also another story to that. There's never a straight path. So we had a bunch of meetings. They got their senior leadership all on Zoom, right? Like presented and everything. And then all of us, and there was a lot of momentum, like share this. So in a deal momentum is key. If the momentum is stalled, it's very difficult to reverse it. It's just very difficult. So it was happening, and we were very excited. And then in January, they stopped. Just the discussions just stopped. They didn't really talk to us. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. So I reached out to them. I'm like, hey man, what's going on? I thought we were going to do a deal in 90 days, but he's like, Tukan, this is towards the end of January. He's like, there's some things going on in our company. It's not you. It's us. So we cannot continue this discussion at this point. We will reconvene at some future point.
Right.
And I've heard this kind of business lingo, very classic. They will never say no. They're like,
Yeah. It's like the breakup, you know,
Well, that's what I was thinking.
with a
It's
cute
not
girl.
you,
It's like,
me.
it's not you, it's me. Yeah.
it's
I'm
always.
like, oh, okay.
And that's exactly what I thought. And I was coming fresh from another breakup, a corporate breakup. So
To rebound.
rebound. So I'm like, you know what? Screw it. We're just going to go ahead. We were profitable at that point. We were like, we're just going to grow the business. We are default ally. Nothing can stop us. We'll just keep going. But it was still a blow. And then in May, I see a news. It says IDG acquired by Blackstone
Right.
Group. Blackstone is the largest private
Yeah.
equity fund in the world.
Yeah,
Massive.
exactly.
Massive.
I think $1 trillion
Yeah, I was
under
going to say, I
asset.
read that recently. It's
Yeah,
$1 trillion.
Yeah, it's very big. Then it hit me. I'm like, shit. So they were getting acquired.
Yeah.
And that's the reason they couldn't continue the discussion with them. So immediately I reached out to Matt. I'm like, hey, congrats. Let me know when it makes sense to reconnect. Within 5 minutes or 15 minutes, he gets back. He's like, yeah, let's touch base next Wednesday. So the conversation started back up in May. We signed our agreement on 13th of August, and we closed in November. 2021.
Amazing.
So that's the story.
Biggest deal of your life, right?
Biggest deal
It
of
started
my life.
right here in Halifax, too. I mean, I think that's really
awesome.
important for our listeners. This is primarily a Halifax show, right? So,
Absolutely.
So you came to Dalhousie. You studied computer sciences.
Yeah.
You conquered.
Yeah.
You started an engineering job. I'm sure some of that was a little mundane in the beginning. You probably didn't know where it was going, but like, man, what a crazy story.
Just one small thing.
Yeah.
I did my undergrad, and I was also doing my master's in
Yeah.
natural language processing. But I didn't finish my master's.
No?
I dropped out.
Oh,
I dropped out. So I had taken all my courses. I had my thesis left.
yeah.
And thesis takes 6 to 8 months of real deep down focused work.
Right.
By the time I was starting to write my thesis, I literally had 1 page written on my thesis, and I had started my company. And I thought I'll be able to do it on the part time. I lied to myself for a couple of years, but I never finished. So yeah.
Yeah, but like, aren't all like the most genius rich people are all dropped outs of something?
Yeah, there's
Right?
just a difference. Neither am I genius, not super rich. So yeah.
You'll
But
get
yeah,
there. You'll get there.
Yeah.
You know.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So so as like a kind of a resident expert in this tech world, I've heard like kind of whispers that like Halifax is kind of like sneaky, like good when it comes to like in the tech world. There's more here than people really realize.
Oh, there's a lot here. Yeah. I mean, well, you know Volta. We've
Volta's
had
here,
Sean Meister on the show with
Yeah.
Volta Lab Inc. That's a great little incubator over there,
100%.
right? A lot going on.
100%.
And but man, it's everywhere. And then, like the supercluster that we've been developing, we're doing a lot with technology here in Halifax.
Yeah.
We have to.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I mean, for Nova Scotia for any country, place, from an economy perspective, we have to double down on the IP or the knowledge economy.
Yes.
And given our geographical size, I think that we have to do geographical, like knowledge-based economy. So Halifax is good with that.
Could be better.
Could definitely be better
Yeah.
because we haven't had, not that I'm aware, maybe Meta Material that went public out of Nova Scotia was $1 billion exit or liquidation, but we haven't had many $1 billion exits. If you think about it, Newfoundland had a big $1 billion exit called Verafin that got acquired by NASDAQ for $3.4 billion.
Amazing.
That has helped the ecosystem tremendously in Newfoundland because there's at least 3 more companies that are already on the path to be $1 billion in the last 4 years. Okay.
Wow.
Shopify,
Yeah.
classic example of Ottawa.
Yeah.
I mean, Ottawa was a government place. Shopify made it a tech hub,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
So Nova Scotia definitely needs that. I mean, Atlantic Canada needs more of that. There were a couple really big ones in New Brunswick. Q1 Labs was one that got acquired by IBM for $600 million, and then Radian 6 that got acquired by Salesforce for 300x million. So those are things that are happening, but we need more of them. Those bigger hits. Yeah.
It's too bad we're stupid and can't do that, because I'd love to sell our podcast for $600 million.
I think we'll have to get a lot more subscribers, but a few more. But yeah, back to what do you think? What's missing in Halifax with the tech world? What do you think would happen to get more here? More would you want more incubation, more money invested, or what's missing?
Definitely more money helps. There's not a lot of regional venture capital in this province.
Right.
In Atlantic Canada, most of them are dried up, tapped out. So that's one thing that will definitely help. A lot of investors, venture funds, a lot of them either in Nova Scotia have been government funded. We need high net worth individuals funding them. That'll help. A lot of high net worth individuals here are not investing in risky assets like a startup.
Okay.
They would much rather do it in real estate and more traditional.
And you think that's different from the U.S.?
Yes, big time.
Big time, right?
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
So that would help.
And why do you think that is? I mean, is there a stigma behind it in Canada that's different, or is it tax reasons, or do you know? Is there taxation?
No, I don't think there's tax reasons. Americans in general are more risk takers.
Right.
That you have to give it to them.
So as this podcast comes out in April, it's going to be a pretty tumultuous time. I think Trump's tariffs are finally going to hit. This is coming out April 1st. And,
something like that.
So
Trump's
stupid.
April 2nd, if he goes through with his...
Did you hear what he said announced today?
Threat of steel 50% up and
Yeah, he
aluminum
doubled-
50%
he
up.
doubled it.
Down, yeah.
Yeah, that's because of Ford's
Threat of
25% on
it was funny. Andrea, my partner Andrea, and I we were talking about that the other night, and I said, I don't know, man. I said, I think it's unwise to go back on electricity like that, because I think it's just going to get worse in the situation. And it did.
Yeah, well, you don't poke the bear.
Yeah, poke the bear is right. Yeah, it's.
That being said, I don't know. I have a newfound appreciation for Doug Ford.
I agree with that.
You think so? Yeah.
I
mean,
agree.
we'll see what happens. I mean,
here's my prediction.
Yeah.
We'll do a quick political prediction.
Sure.
If and when if Pierre Poilievre can't pull off a win against Trudeau, or not Trudeau, against Carney, then he will step down like every other last Conservative member has. I think Ford goes for it.
Will step up?
Yeah.
I think Ford goes for it. I think that's what he's positioned himself.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
That's not a stretch. Yeah.
And you know what? I think he'd have a decent shot just based on this, but also the fact that he's a little bit more of a moderate conservative.
Moderate conservative's good.
Right?
Fair.
He's more, yeah. No,
I think
you're
he
right.
can win some people over, depending on how Carney, goes, right?
Yeah, be interesting what Carney does, though.
Yes.
I mean,
I have high hopes for him.
I do too. I have really high hopes
too.
for him.
Yeah,
He's not what they say, like a traditional politician.
Yeah,
right. His background is in finance. So
Yeah.
He's also kind of more of a moderate.
he is definitely
Right?
Definitely is. Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest thing. And
He's the best of both worlds to me.
I agree.
I don't want people involved in my business or anybody else's beyond the financials of running the country, right? That seems what he wants to focus on. So I'm all for that.
Isn't he the only person that was the head of
the UK, the bank UK,
right?
that wasn't
that's
from
not
UK.
UK.
Yeah.
That shows some pedigree.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah,
quality.
he has a pretty good resume.
Yeah, pretty
right?
good. I'd
Yeah,
say.
pretty long.
And I mean, and I don't know that Harper was denying it, but they were saying that he was a big reason why we got out of our 2008
Absolutely. The financial crisis,
right?
Yeah, it was a big reason.
So I mean, kudos to Kearney. We're trying to get him on this show. We're just going to keep putting that out to the
There you
universe,
go.
man.
Yeah, let's just manifest this.
Yeah.
No, I was actually talking to someone close to him today.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was
Yeah,
talking-
I see, yeah.
We were originally going to have him on before, before he won,
Yeah.
as part of the leadership type of thing.
Yeah.
And the message I got today was, Matt, we haven't forgotten about you. It's been really busy. And they said,
Be a lot more guards.
he actually said, the next time if you guys are going to end up sitting down with a pint, he's like, there'll just be a lot more RCMP officers.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. Dude.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
I mean, you did get Tim Houston.
Yeah.
good.
He didn't show up with any RCMP officers. He showed up with his media guy.
That was pretty tough. He just cracked his knuckles. He said, "Let's go."
And was it shot here, recorded here?
No, we shot that one at Old Triangle.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
He picked that spot,
He
actually.
picked that spot. Yeah. That's a great spot too, and they have the little bunkies, so it's kind of cool to record these in the little booths. Right?
Just to clarify too, he said here. So here is the Oxford Tap Room by Garrison.
Sorry, I forgot to say where
we
we're at
didn't
today.
actually say. We didn't say that.
shoot.
So just several streets down from Dalhousie, where you went to school.
Yeah.
We're here on the Oxford Tap Room. So, and I'm drinking the PB&J, the peanut butter and jam, which is their brown and their raspberry put together, and it's awesome.
This episode is brought to you by Camilla Najat with Exit Realty Metro.
Camilla Najat is an experienced real estate agent who prides herself in finding the perfect home for her clients. Camilla can help you with a comparative market analysis to help determine the value of your home if you're planning on selling, or help you determine the going rate for the neighborhood you're moving into. She can also work with you at your pace.
You can reach Camilla by calling 902-880-8429 or email camilla@exitmetro.ca.
Also, you can find her on Facebook at Camilla Najat, Exit Realty Metro.
I love all of Garrison's beers, including this new one I'm trying today.
I have to try
except for that PB&J one. It's just I can't do it. But this matcha lager for me is really cool.
I'm gonna have to try
it's a
some of that
matcha
thing
tea
when I go
lager,
leave, yeah.
and they just had it on tap here. It's pretty cool.
And I'm trying out the Georgia peach,
That's
which
a
is
classic.
really good.
Yeah, that's a classic,
it's
man.
really good, and we actually had a guest on there that actually did a 50-50 juicy IPA and Georgia peach, mix it together.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, first time I had that mix, and it was really, really good.
I love this place because I'm a big dog person. I
Yeah.
did not know that you're allowed to bring your dog in.
Yes, yeah, they let the dogs come
That
in.
is
Yeah,
the coolest thing.
And you know, it's actually like you kind of really have to fight for that a little bit, because anytime there's any dealings of food and stuff
Yes,
like that,
That's a big deal. How did they get that?
I think it's because it might be because like the food is served in the cafe side.
I see.
And they just let you bring it here.
Okay.
I don't know that for sure,
Okay.
but that would be my guess based on
Yeah, it's
kind
so
of
cool.
technicalities
So cool.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when can I ask you about Stealth AI again?
Yeah. Stealth. So I'll tell you about it right now.
Whatever you can tell me. I
No,
totally
dude.
respect. We're not here
I'll-
trying to
I'll
get
tell
any
you-
information.
you know, one of the things I believe is, at least in a startup journey and in life, it's basically a collection of stories. This new company, which on LinkedIn is Stealth AI, and I'll tell you what, it's still very new, so I haven't had a lot of stories collected. But I'll tell you one story that happened today.
Sure.
So what the company we are building is, it's so early. This is month 4 of me full time on this. We're just figuring out the name. It's called Heygia, HEYGIA.
Okay.
.io, heygia.io. What it is it's basically a platform specifically built for consultants and agency owners and professional service firms to help them run and grow their business. In my previous company, I sold into B2B tech companies. But one thing I realized was there are hundreds and thousands of consulting firms and consultants that are busy doing client delivery work. They don't have the resources or the time to hire a marketing person or a salesperson, operations person, and they struggle with. They're so focused on client delivery, they don't have time to grow their business, and this is a big pain point. I want to build a platform that sort of works as a growth engine for this group of companies, these professional service firms. And I'm not talking the Deloittes and PwCs. I'm talking about the boutique ones or the independent consultants. I'm trying to build an AI platform that helps them automatically help them grow their business, sort of while they're focused on doing client delivery work.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Interesting.
Right now. Still super early.
Yeah.
You're navigating through this.
It's kind of a natural path for you to go into AI from what you've done before.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
especially when you talk about how your last business developed to how it grew and
Right,
how everything
right.
here, right? And
Oh yeah, I did not know what I was going to work on, but what I did know was two things. A, I wanted to solve for something that could impact 1 million people, and B, I wanted to work with something with the whole generative AI, because this is the internet of our era.
Yeah.
it totally is.
You need to be working on this if you can. And I feel blessed and grateful that I can be working in this space, learning a shit ton, and then using that to build a solution that serves sort of an underserved market. These consultants and everyone is building for B2B tech companies.
Right.
No one is building for these professional service firms. So that's what I'm doing. Yeah. And the reason it's stealth AI is when you don't want to let people know what you're working on yet, LinkedIn has these placeholder companies you can put where you work. AI, stealth. So I just put a place. So you'll see there's 150,000 people working at stealth AI. Everyone that don't want to let others know,
it sounds so
you just
cool.
label. So that right.
I'm not gonna like when I heard stealth AI, I was like, this dude's creating like Skynet. It's
Yeah.
like Terminator is kind of happening.
Yeah.
No, not that cool or crazy. But yeah, so that's what it's called, Getgia. And the story that I wanted to share was, I sent an investor. So I send investor updates every month, just as a good practice, saying, hey, well, this is what we achieved. This is what was good, which was not good, and what are we going to work on the next 30 days. One of our investors, super nice guy, his name is Ian Kavanagh. He just went ahead and put it on LinkedIn. He's like, oh God, these guys, what they're building is a game changer.
Yeah. Wow.
We didn't want to announce it yet, but he posted it, and we got a bunch of inbound leads because of that. I'm like, okay, sure, we'll go for it.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So
That's so
anyways,
cool.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So, like, with this technology, I mean, with AI for me, I just think of it as a consumer on a very personal, Meta, Apple, whatever, a very elementary use. How much it's evolved in the last year, the last 12 months. It's ridiculous.
It's crazy.
It's exponential, right?
It's crazy.
So this must be a new challenge in terms of goal creating and path creating and vision creating. Because it's like, say if Matt and I had a vision and we're like, well, 3 months we'll do this and 6 months we'll do this. But I mean, those timelines got to be, all over the place.
Weeks.
Like, how would you, so weeks. And like, how are you even like making goals at this point in terms of how you progress? Because
Struggling with it.
Yeah, it got to be crazy.
So I'm going to sound super old now. I've been working in the industry. My first co-op was 2005, so 20 years.
Yeah.
I've been working in tech. I've never seen the pace of innovation and things that are happening ever in my life.
Right.
It's shocking to the point people that are in the industry, it is overwhelming and they're feeling burnt out. There is new technology that is improving on what the previous one was doing every single week.
Well, that's the thing. Like, and that's like for like, I mean, a question. I don't know if it's in our 10 questions or not here that we'll get into. But I'm jumping the gun. I'm jumping all over the place because I'm genuinely so curious.
Yeah.
So it's like you got a young guy that says, "Hey, I want to get into this AI learning," or I mean, I know my buddy Dave, his kid's going to go to college next year, and he probably wants to get into computer science and wants to make sure that he's in the right place to succeed.
Yeah.
I mean, how does he even know where to go because it's changing so rapidly?
Yeah, but for example, if he's going to computer science, he should be okay.
Yeah.
He should be okay.
Good place to go.
Good place to go.
Yeah.
What will happen is, this is my core belief, and this is a core stance I have on AI. Because there's a big talk you'll hear in AI is saying it'll kill jobs, right?
Yeah, that's the fear that
There's a
everyone
fear.
has.
Yeah.
It's a valid fear. Let me just say that this is not a bullshit thing. It's a valid fear.
Right.
This is what my take is. We as white collar workers, if you may, or knowledge workers, whatever field, there's two kind of jobs we do in the course of our tasks we do in the course of our day or week. One task, I call them tasks that we want to do.
Yeah.
These are things that you get joy out of. These are sort of complex, non-deterministic tasks. You don't know what output would be, but like
so
a sales
a
call.
lot of the sales is enjoyable if you enjoy doing it, like
100%.
going out for lunch with a client,
100%.
and
That relationship
doing a business
building,
deal, relationship
crafting
building.
that
That's fun.
email, the pitch, the story, all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are things that you enjoy doing, and every job has their own enjoy.
Right.
Like an engineer has certain things.
Yep.
And then there's certain tasks that you don't enjoy doing. These are things that you have to
Absolutely.
do. Admin work,
Admin work.
updating your CRM or stuff
Connecting
like that.
this person, that person through email for something that hasn't been done 3 months ago. And
There
all
you
this
go.
bull
Or
baloney and-
reminder of a
right.
follow-up or scheduling a meeting.
Using an old system, the old computer system that doesn't.
Fair enough. If there's any systems in place, or if there's people in place that are doing those things that you don't want to do, those jobs are going to be gone.
Yeah.
Those jobs are going to be gone. As an example, if you're a software engineer, there's a set of things that people do which is called testing or quality assurance. When a software is built, they basically manually go test it to make sure, or write code to make sure nothing is broken, everything's. No engineer wakes up and goes, oh shit, I'm going to write an amazing testing program. No one. That job's going to be gone. Those QA. Think of in sales.
Yeah.
A lot of people, no one enjoys cold prospecting. Sending an email, booking meetings, no one enjoys it.
Yeah.
That job is at the risk of going. And if you look at US, there's a bunch of companies that are called AI SDR, sales developer reps, getting millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in funding to solve for it. So anything that I believe that humans don't get joy out of will be gone. So
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, our sponsor, Mark Zerka.
Oh, Strategy Up. Yeah.
Strategy Up. Yep. So he told the story. I was at a networking meeting with him one time, and he was telling the story about how he works. One of his clients, he works with the Saudi Arabian government.
Sure.
So they do a lot of, obviously because of they're a faith-based organization as a government, they do a lot of their praying throughout the day, and they have breaks and things like that.
Okay.
And he was saying that the Saudi government was actually bringing him in to try to make things more efficient and to run so that they could actually do essentially do less work, right? So that they can only have, but not to pay them less, not to lay anybody off, because the Saudi government has money coming out of the wazoo.
Yeah.
And, so they don't want to they still want to hire all the same people, have it all the same, but it allows them to do their prayers throughout the day, have their tea time and their lunch and all that stuff. So they only end up working 50% of the day that we would in the run of a day.
Yeah.
But they have automations to do the things that, what they would pay people to do. But no one's getting a pay cut.
This was totally in The Mandalorian, by the way. There was that episode where Jack Black lived on the planet. The humans beings didn't do nothing.
Okay.
They figured everything out, and technology and robotics took care of everything for them. But then there was a murder.
That also goes to speak of what AI can do and what we can get to.
Oh yeah, that's a dream.
Where it's not really any different than Star Trek, right?
Mm-hmm.
Star Trek, money doesn't really exist anymore. Because everyone's basic needs are provided.
So there's a lot of discussion around that.
Yeah,
is universal basic income might happen.
Universal basic income might happen. I mean, I was kind of saying instead of just paying somebody, wouldn't it make? Because I'm still I still believe in capitalism, but I also believe in socialism.
Sure.
Right. So it'd be almost interesting if everyone, instead of having universal basic income, the government just built mass buildings of units, and you had a house.
Okay.
Not a house, a unit, right? An apartment building. You're given that.
Okay.
If you want to work to have a house and a backyard, work for it.
Yeah.
But everyone gets a unit.
Right.
Everyone's not cold.
Right.
And is not being rained on.
Yeah.
I'd almost that's almost the world I'd like to see us live in.
That sounds cool and dystopian.
Sounds
little bit,
dystopianly
yeah.
awesome.
Right.
I would love that idea.
Yeah.
But it's if you want the bigger house,
movie that way.
If you want the bigger house, work for it. But
I'm back at the units.
Boom, here you go. You're back at the units. You're bankrupt. And you're back at the units.
Wife left me. I'm back at the units.
Maybe I'm going off in a tangent.
Yeah.
Isn't this how it is right now?
In a sense,
sort of, but not really.
Meaning.
You mean right now we're not giving people units? We're giving people barracks is made of pallets.
Sure, or basically, let's say you didn't do any specialized trades, or you didn't go to school for something, and you're doing a sort of an entry level job. You can, with your money. The concept of money is government is printing the money or whatever. With the money that you get to rent.
Yeah,
right.
You don't get to own.
Yeah.
But if you really go step up through whatever, you then get to get a bigger house.
That's true, but that has moved in Canada and in the US and everywhere. To such a thing where my parents were in the trades. We had a house when I was 6 years old.
Right.
And they both worked really hard.
Yeah.
Now their mortgage is paid off and their house. Yeah. A kid today that followed the same path as my father and my mother, God bless. They're both hardworking people.
Yeah. And that's why I was saying is you're not even in these government units.
Yeah.
You're not renting. You're paying nothing.
Right. The government takes care of it. The government gives it to you.
Yeah. You get to use it.
I mean, it'll be great if that happens.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you look at Star Trek and stuff like that, and I use Star Trek because the food's provided, you live on ships or you live on a planet and all this other other stuff. Now, there's still certain desires, like if you watch Deep Space Nine, which is the only Star Trek that I actually really liked. But if you watch that, they have gambling, right? Money still exists. It's just your basics are taken care of, and that's kind of where. But I think AI could get.
So
that's where I think AI could get us.
Star Trek? Is that what you're saying? That whole tangent was just from Deep Space Nine?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was just wondering.
But I think that's where I think AI could get us, right? Because it could eliminate jobs that we hate doing anyway.
I think that's the dream, but I just don't think that those dreams ever work out. Those fairy tale ideas will work out as grand as we hope. I feel like it's going to be.
I don't know. That's what Sam Altman talks about. Sam Altman does talk about that basic, like the founder of OpenAI. Mm-hmm. He does talk about that universal basic income. He's like, that needs to happen.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But the one thing that I will tell you, though, is being in the AI space and how fast it's moving, it's not a fad.
Yeah.
It is real.
No. Oh, I don't think that.
Definitely
I don't think everybody should think that at this point.
I recently was talking to a friend of mine, and what I told her was, the VCs, the venture capitalists in America, what they're telling their startups is, the narrative that they're saying is, look, the software market is $86 billion.
Right.
That's the total money that's spent in US for software. The labor market in America is between $4 and $20 trillion.
Ooh, wow.
Okay.
He's like, now you build not for the software market, you're going after the labor market.
Yeah.
Meaning the pitch that I give to you as let's say I'm trying to sell it to you. I'm not going to say, buy my software for $30,000 because it's going to make your life awesome or your recording great. My pitch is, I'm going to sell this to you for $30,000 because you don't need to hire 2 more guys to edit this podcast.
Right. Yes.
So it's a labor market cost.
We wouldn't have been able to do this podcast 10 years ago. This podcast is brought to you a little bit by AI, right? Yeah. I mean, if you, in the back end to do the episode bios, expediates. I use AI wherever I can to cut corners to get this product out. I work a full-time job, right? Like, this is a hobby, right? And I like seeing my family, so we do what we can to utilize AI for this show.
Yeah.
Right?
So we'll see how this pans out. So.
Yeah, and AI is doing podcasts now. You can actually get AI to do an entire podcast for you with zero involvement with hosts on any subject. You can get
my clone.
Yes, deepfakes. Deepfakes, yeah.
I invested in a company called One Mind. They do it for sales.
Yep.
It's literally the first call that you have, the discovery call, when you're figuring out if you're really a fit. It's an AI clone of the salesperson doing the discovery. And then passing it over. Then the account executive comes in.
Oh, wow.
Crazy.
So anyways.
Yeah.
So like, as someone who's really, in the thick of it, like, does AI scare you?
This episode is brought to you by Strategy Up. Strategy Up is a business consulting firm led by Mark Zerka, who has over 20 years' experience in building commercial strategies that will up your game, organize your teams, increase your productivity, and grow your business.
Whether you're a construction company looking to grow your revenue or a busy restaurant owner just trying to keep the doors open, Strategy Up can help. Strategy Up's boutique-style consultations will help you improve business process across nearly any industry.
Being a successful entrepreneur does not mean you have to be an expert in everything. Strategy Up specializes in building a relationship with you. Once pain points in the business are realized, Strategy Up will introduce process and technology that will power up your game to the next level.
A successful business requires investment. Your next step towards growth starts now. Email info@mystrategyup.com for a free business discovery call. Up your game with Strategy Up.
For someone building an AI company, I shouldn't be saying that it scares me. No, it doesn't scare me.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Not yet. Do
you think it ever will get to Terminator? Like, because we had Giles on here, and he kind of said, like, no, he doesn't think it ever can get to that point.
I think there will be enough checks and balances that'll be put in that make sure it will not.
Yeah, I think there's a capability for sentient AI to happen, though. I mean, certainly, right?
Oh, yeah.
And there's already an example of that. Something I read not too long ago about something like that happening, where the AI just started kind of forming its own mind and saying some pretty dark stuff. And
Yes, but I just don't think it's going to get that draconian. It's not going to go to that. And that's my thought.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, like what Giles said in the episode too, which I found really interesting, is that just like how powerful and complex the human brain is to actually truly create something.
Yeah,
right.
He was talking about like, in order for AI to get to the point that it could have the capacity and brain power of a human brain, it would take basically all of the energy on the earth to run it and also cool it. Because as you would know, like anytime you're running anything, like we need, our AI room in our insurance office has to be extra cold, otherwise it overheats. So there's also the cooling factor. If something's using like our brain that much power, there may not be enough resources on the earth for it to continue going.
Well, that's what Sam Altman talks about, is the most atomic unit that is going to be important is compute.
Yeah.
Compute is basically the processing unit it takes to run any of these simulations, to build the model and then to do the reasoning. He does talk about that compute is going to be like electricity, units of energy.
Right.
It'll be traded and stuff like that. So, yeah, we'll see. But I don't think I'm more on the positive side of things.
Yeah.
My bet is 5 to 10 years from now, people will be working on things that they enjoy doing, and AI will take care of the things that they have to do.
That's cool.
Sounds beautiful to me.
That's what I'm betting on.
Realistically, though, like I don't worry about AI. I don't know. Call me naive, but even especially after talking to Giles, I'm like even less worried about it.
No, I'm not personally worried.
Like, for example,
to be
classic example.
Yeah.
This interview that you guys are doing,
Right.
an AI will not be doing that. Not in any time soon.
And not as genuinely like,
no.
we're different levels of intelligence towards something sit in a room.
The curiosity.
Right.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
What AI will help us do it is, after this is done, it'll chop it up, edit it for you.
Exactly.
And that's perfect, because you don't get joy out of editing it.
It can provide a synopsis of what we said, what we discussed.
Yeah.
It can do all these
things. It might make short LinkedIn clips for you, all of that.
Yeah.
But because that's not what you enjoy. You're not doing afternoon pint podcast talking to people so that, oh man, I'm going to create a killer edit. No. Right? Someone will.
That's the least fun part of it. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's it. Remember what I said?
Back to
Things
what
that you
said.
want to do versus have to do.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
And AI already makes it easier.
Yes. And it'll make it even more easier.
Yeah. That's amazing.
No, that's great. The just to go back a little bit to kind of for you, kind of personally too, is because I do like to kind of learn a little bit about people. Whereabouts in India are you from?
I'm from Calcutta.
Oh, you are from Calcutta? Okay,
East of India, yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyone who knows Mother Teresa,
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes,
we would know
definitely.
that kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
And so, what originally kind of like what made you pick like Nova Scotia? I'm always curious. About, You know, I'm sure Nova Scotia is not on the map for most Indians.
I've heard this question so many times.
Yeah,
and it's a very genuine question. The reason I came was my brother came a year before
to
study to Dal. He was doing computer science and math. He did mathematics and statistics. That's what he did. The reason he came was one of his high school buddies moved here in 1997 because his dad had a business. So he knew him and he's like, yeah, you should come here, come to Dal. So when he moved the next year, I decided to come here. That's the reason that made me come here. And I've been here 23 years now.
Yeah.
This is home.
Amazing.
Well, that's the thing, and that's why I'm always genuinely curious, because I was born and raised here, so obviously I love it here. But I'm always curious about people who decide to leave their home, and make my home their home, right? Because that's a big thing to me, right? For me to go and leave Nova Scotia, that would be a hard thing, right? So I can only imagine.
That's exactly what is happening to me now.
Yeah.
Being in a tech company, one of the things is like you need to move to San Francisco.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
And I cannot even imagine moving out of Nova Scotia.
Well, that's awesome. I wish more people thought like you.
People are. I hope they do.
Yeah.
You can still build a big business. You travel a lot. You go spend time.
But that's not a bad thing either, though.
No, it's great.
Yeah.
You asked me this question, what does Nova Scotia need like the Volta? So I'm very closely associated with Volta. I host this monthly AI meetup where you get 150 people register coming every week.
Wow.
Every month, where local hackers basically present cool shit they've been working on. It's awesome.
Wow, could anybody go watch this? Can I come just hang out?
Yes, you'd love it. I'll send you a link.
Yeah, I would definitely come. I would come hang out.
It'll blow your mind. It'll blow your mind.
Do you think? Here, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, cameras rolling
Sure.
here, but like AP could come and maybe film the event just to help promote it.
Oh man, that'll be
Like,
awesome.
I would totally
Do
love
it.
to do that.
I'm going to invite
Yeah.
you guys for the next
100%.
one.
We'd be
It's an
there.
evening. Yes.
Yep.
Cool.
So one of the things that I was going to say is,
Yep.
so there's a lot of tech talent because there's universities, there's good research happening at Dal and SMU and all this, which is great. But what we lack is the growth or the growth mindset
Yeah.
that you only get when you are in that environment. So what needs to happen is more people from Atlantic Canada, if they go spend time in the San Francisco or Boston or New York or what are the big hubs or London, understand what the companies there are doing, what are the cool things, what they're doing, and then bring it over that knowledge and share that knowledge.
Right.
That's how you iterate fast.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's cool. No, I mean, we'd love to check that out. So,
Yes, I will
think
send you an
it'd be very
invite. Done.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be good. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I think maybe 10 questions
10
time.
questions time.
Ready
Okay.
for 10
think so.
ridiculously dumb questions?
I am
They'll
looking
make your
forward
head
to it.
hurt?
I have no idea what's going to... I heard some of them, so...
They're always, well, they're a good combination of fun and ridiculous,
Okay,
right? So,
let's do it.
Welcome to the Afternoon Pint. It's Matt Conrad,
Mike Topin.
and we are doing 10 questions
Yeah.
with Tukan.
Okay, let's go.
All right, so I'll start it off. So question number 1. So what was the most cumbersome thing you remember having to do when you helped build a search engine back in 2005?
Was the most cumbersome thing?
Yeah.
Spam detection. I clearly remember. So we were building a web search engine, and spam was a big problem. Meaning, when people search for a keyword, there's these spam websites that would show up because they would try all these hacks or nefarious techniques so that they can rank higher. And this is 2005, 2006. Even in Google, there was a lot of spam problem. So one of the projects that I started working on there, one of the first projects was actually spam detection. Is how can you automatically detect which website was a spammy website? Underneath, there were either a gambling site or a porn site or something, or selling Viagra or something like that. That was like classic. So I built some algorithms with my teammates to detect spam, and we brought it down drastically. We published some research papers in peer-reviewed journals. So that was the most cumbersome thing. But that's where it really got me excited about research and AI and text mining and information retrieval.
For sure.
So that was the most cumbersome thing.
All right, cool. Question number 2. When you first moved to Canada from India as a student, what was the first thing about Canada you found weird or interesting?
Yes. The first thing was, so 2 things. Was when I was walking the first few days, people would just smile at you. I initially thought they know me. That was my first reaction. Like,
So
do
funny.
they know me? But they don't know me. It's just the nice thing to do.
Yeah.
So that I
Be
found.
like a bunch of serial killers are here.
And I'm like, okay, initially I'm like, maybe I met them somewhere at the airport or something.
right.
And then after first week, I'm like, okay, this is the norm. People smile at you when you work.
Right.
When you walk, I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I freaking love it. So
That's a
so
great
yeah,
answer.
there you go.
Oh, man.
All right, that's a great answer. So, question number 3. So, as a leader, how do you set goals when working in such a rapidly developing field as artificial intelligence?
Yeah, this is a battle that I'm going through right now. It's very difficult to set goals. I guess the way we have set it is, it might sound cliched, but our goals are very focused on customer objectives. So for this new startup, Getgia, our goal is to help consultants and professional service or agency owners, help them grow their business. So that's our goal. That's a core pain point we are trying to solve. And when we onboard a customer, we know what they're asking for, what their goal is. So we basically go, all our engineering, all our research, all the cool AI things that we do needs to map to this customer's win, customer's value. That's how we set our goals. So literally we have some North Star metrics that each customer that we onboard needs to do these 3 things. And the goals are focused on that.
Great answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing great, man. What's one of your favorite books to read? It could be from any time, place, or wherever.
Yeah, I was not a book reader when I was a kid, but But once I started Leadsift, I really started reading a bunch of books, mostly nonfiction, exclusively nonfiction. I'm not proud of it, but that's what it is. The favorite book, there's two I will say. One is called The Hard Thing About Hard Things by Ben Horowitz. He was the founder and CEO, is a big... It talks about... It's a very real talk about the life of a startup CEO. No bullshit, like very real. The second thing is this book called The Last Lecture. Do you guys know Randy Pausch? Have you heard
I don't
of
know that.
I don't know that name. No.
I would highly recommend. It's not got nothing to do with startup. Randy Pausch was a professor at Carnegie Mellon University, and he was diagnosed when he was 48. He was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. He had 3 months to live, so he gave a talk at Carnegie Mellon. It's called The Last Lecture. If you could give one lecture before you die, it's theoretical, but for him it was real. It's on YouTube.
That's cool.
And they made a book out of it. I listened to that. I listened to that YouTube video once every 3 months religiously.
Yeah.
So The Last Lecture. Yeah, they have a book too. So yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Geez, I'll have to go through. Yeah.
Please do.
So question number 5. If you could invent a new holiday, what would it be and how would it be celebrated?
This is an interesting question. One day, I was thinking one day every quarter, but maybe that's too.
You were
frequent.
quick on this, by the
Yeah,
way.
you-
dude.
you- yeah,
You didn't even take a breath.
This is
That
something.
wasn't even like a, hey, that's a weird question. He was like, I already got this planned.
And it was not scripted, right? I had no idea.
No.
Maybe it's a dumb one, but here's the thing. I've been thinking about it. I was talking to my partner. What I told her was, once a quarter, there should be one day, both of us should be off, where we get to spend time, the whole day, with the person we love the most, outside of us. For us, it's our dog.
Okay.
We don't have kids. But I think there should be one day, a holiday of your choosing.
That could get ugly though, man. Because like, what if like you're like, I'm sorry, I picked my in-laws this time,
Right.
you know, or
Could
whatever,
be.
right?
Could
You'd have
be.
to shift.
It'll be
you'd
a
have to
good
switch
test.
it up.
It'll be
right?
a good test. But I think you need to spend one day
I like that.
that the
I
person
love
you
the
love.
idea.
No phones, no computer, no work. The whole day with
Man,
them.
shut the internet right down.
Right.
You just hit a big
My
switch.
wife would love that answer.
Yeah?
That's a great answer.
That's a cool answer. Yeah.
Over to you, for number 6.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay. When you're not working and focused on startups and building companies, what's one of your favorite hobbies just to chill out with?
I like cooking.
Oh yeah, cool. Me too.
Nice,
I love
me too.
to cook.
Yeah.
I think it's for me but I don't like to cook for myself. I never cook for myself. It has to be for friends, family.
Nice.
But yeah, that'd be one thing that I do. And I like going on hikes, outdoor hikes. Nova Scotia is blessed. There's so many pretty trails all over.
Yeah.
We have a dog, so we go hiking ourselves, our friends' dogs. So yeah, so those will be two things
I
that I
find
do.
cooking the most relaxing thing to do in the world.
What?
I find cooking is one of the most relaxing things to do in the world. Like
this
it
is-
always just calms my mind.
I could not agree more.
Yeah.
I tell my friends, I'm like, if you see me cooking food,
Yeah.
you know I'm in a good mood. I'm okay. I'm
That's
okay.
actually something my wife and I actively like to do. We get a bottle of wine and we'll cook a meal on a Friday night or Saturday
That
night.
is perfect.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
We actually I mentioned this I think on the podcast before, but during COVID, when we were all locked down and stuff like that, and trying to find things to do, my wife and I decided that we would every Wednesday we would cook a different meal from a different culture, and so it was really cool because we did research through the week to try to find what
Love
we were
it.
going to cook next.
Love it.
And you can learn so much about a culture from their meals, right?
I love it.
Yeah,
That's
so it
such
was-
a great idea.
Yeah, it was fun.
As long as you're not making bread, because everyone was making bread during COVID.
We made pretzels and stuff like that, right? But
cool.
we also
But from different cultures, different kinds of.
you know what? We did try our own naan.
Okay.
We made
There you go.
pretzels.
Okay.
We
That's impressive,
made.
yeah.
What else did we make? There was another form of bread, but yeah, we did.
Okay.
We did some stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Question number 7. Oh, Matt, this is you.
This is
Sorry.
me, I guess, but yeah. So for those just entering university and wanting to get into the technology, what are the recommendations you'd have for them to study?
It's a good question. See, this one, I would say, you know what? If you're in computer science, understand the applications of different things, understand the core concept. But there's one thing that I think universities don't teach enough. But if there is any way you can improve your storytelling skills, I think that will apply for any different, whether you commerce, science, computer science, accounting, business, doesn't matter. Anything that helps you improve your storytelling, I think that would be helpful. And if you're a computer science, definitely think of whatever you're learning, building a practical application of it would be fascinating. So that would be my answer.
Okay, love it. Okay. It's funny. We talked about this earlier in our episode.
Okay.
Unprovoked. This question wasn't asked, but you kind of answered it anyway.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
As a leader, how do you motivate people?
Did I answer that question?
Well, you
In
talked
a roundabout
about
way, we talked about your team feeling a little bit lost in what they were doing.
You were
and then
saying
had
that money, revenue wasn't motivating them.
Yeah. And they had to find a new motive, and then you figured out a new motive to get them to kind of work with people more closely.
In my first startup, I was 28 years old when I started. First time CEO, had zero knowledge. I made all the mistakes I could have made, and I made that. And one of the big things was culture. This falls under company culture.
Yeah,
made all the mistakes. So few things that I do is uber transparency. So everyone in my company knows exactly what's going on in the company, how much money we have in the bank, how much runway. When we are out of money, everyone knows. So transparency is one. The second thing is celebrating small wins. This is something that I didn't do in my last startup. For us, a big win was when I only won a big client or something major, a big investment or something happened, a big meeting. Those are great. Celebrate them. But rarely does it happen that those things happen frequently. So celebrating small wins. Now this time what we have is we literally have a channel on Slack called Wins. A win could be, we got a lot of engagement on a LinkedIn post. A win could be one of our engineers pushed in a code 3 days earlier. A win could be an investor said, awesome job. A win could be anything small, but we share that. A win could be an inbound lead who found us from Mexico and came to us.
Yeah.
It's a win.
Well, you get a lot of momentum from propelling all those base hits, right? And that's what builds a strong team.
That's
Yeah.
exactly
Brilliant.
it.
I
I
love
think
it.
that is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
that I do. Transparency and celebrating small wins.
I like that.
Great answer.
So question number 9. What's the last common question or task that you can remember utilizing AI for?
Today.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was it?
There was a task. Funny enough, I was giving some feedback to my engineering team, and I basically said, and I couldn't frame it well enough. So I described the problem that the engineering team had and said, hey, if you were me, how would you answer it? So they came up with an answer.
Right.
And then I'm like, okay, that's a nice way of framing it because this is how I would answer. And I leverage that. So yeah, in internal communication for an engineering problem.
Internal communication.
Yeah.
Beautiful answer. All right. So the last question, and we ask every guest that's been on our show this year this question.
Okay.
A piece of advice you were given at any time in your life, whether it's been last week or 20 years ago, that you held on to, that you want to pass along to others. Just any kind of piece of advice. Could be a quote, could be something your family member said, anything.
There's many. I mentioned about Randy Posh, the last lecture. I'll go back to this. And the thing that he said was, you cannot change the cards you're dealt, just how you play the hand.
Oh, there you go.
I believe in that more now than ever with AI and everything, all the, like the tariffs.
Yeah.
You cannot complain about the cards you're dealt. It's a card we have been dealt.
Right.
How we play the hand.
How we play the hand, the strategy of getting through this thing and carrying on is
we can bitch
everything.
and whine about this, or we play the hand. That's
Awesome.
the cards we are dealt. So
I like that. That's good advice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was awesome meeting you.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Great.
Cheers.
I really enjoyed this chat. Thank you.
That's a wrap, my friend.
Amazing.
Just like that.
Thank you for listening to The Afternoon Pint. We are an independent podcast and we need your support. Please take a moment to hit that like, follow, and share button. Email us if you have an idea or suggestion for the show. Please send your feedback. We'd love to hear from you.